Jin-woo is the strongest hunter in the world. During his entire quest to level up solo, he's earned many titles. One of them is Shadow Monarch. No one knows exactly what a Shadow Monarch is when it was first introduced. Not even Jin-woo was given any hint about the power he possesses. But it gave him an insane boost to his exponentially growing power. What is a Shadow Monarch? Or rather, what is a monarch? In our previous video, we explained the origins of Jin-woo's powers, the origins of the rulers, and the lore of the world. Now, it's time to explain the monarchs, their origins, and their armies that once threatened to destroy the world. Let's dive right in. There are a total of 9 monarchs, and each of them has a distinct race of monsters that they lead, with the exception of the Shadow Monarch. There is Yogyumunt, the king of demonic specters. Then Quersha, the queen of insects. Then we have Tarnak, the king of monstrous humanoids. Ligia, the king of the giants. The frost monarch of the snowfolk. Baron, the king of the demons. Raken, the king of the beasts. And finally, Antares, the king of the dragons. Technically, Ashbourne is a monarch, but he's previously a ruler. So in reality, there are only 8 monarchs, with Ashbourne being a balancing power. The monarchs, just like the rulers, are an advanced race of otherworldly creatures that have long existed since time immemorial. A godlike figure called the Absolute Being created the monarchs from the darkness that contrasts the light. And just like the rulers who were tasked to protect the world, the monarchs serve one purpose: to destroy it. Unlike the rulers who are loyal to the Absolute Being and are waging war against them for their god's glory, the monarchs could not care less about their creator and only follow their instinct to destroy and wreak havoc. When the rulers assassinated the Absolute Being, the endless war suddenly had an endpoint, and they were able to capture one of the monarchs named Ligia, the king of the giants. After this incident, the balance of power tipped in the ruler's favor, so Ashbourne, previously a fragment of luminosity and now a being called the Shadow Monarch, reached out to the League of Monarchs to help them balance the power. Ashbourne's Shadow Monarch's power allowed him to absorb both fallen allies and enemies and resurrect them into his shadow army. Due to this, his power grew exponentially, which both the rulers and the monarchs had feared. 2 of the monarchs, the king of the beast, Raken, and the king of the demons, Baron, conspired against him and tried to attack him. Ashbourne easily killed the treacherous monarch Baran, with the monarch Raken fleeing the scene, but at the cost of his shadow army's near total obliteration. Ashbourne was determined to have his revenge, but because his forces were almost wiped out, he went into hiding. This allowed the rulers to finally secure their victory against the monarchs, which forced the monarchs and their remaining armies to escape the war-torn world through the interdimensional cracks. Ashbourne joined forces with Antares, the strongest monarchs and the king of the dragons, and together they're unstoppable. But there's still a problem of their forces being weakened due to the rulers' overwhelming victory against them. So, they ventured out into space to find a suitable planet that would host them and use that planet to revive their armies to full strength. That planet is, unfortunately, Earth. The monarchs destroyed Earth multiple times in the past, but thanks to the ruler's cup of reincarnation, they were able to change the fate of the world countless times, preventing the complete annihilation of the human race. However, no matter how many times the rulers use the cup, Earth and humanity will still cease to exist, because Earth had no magical energy to withstand the power of the monarchs and their armies. So, the rulers tried empowering individuals through the awakening and reawakening, allowing a small fraction of humanity to continue the world, even if many lives will be lost defending it. This is the reason why the world has hunters. But the existence of hunters comes at a price because of the existence of gates and the dungeons past it. While the rulers continuously use the cup of reincarnation to correct their mistakes and revert time by 10 years, the monarchs themselves continuously modify their plans. In the current timeline of solo leveling, the dragon Kamish wreaked havoc on the world, but brave hunters managed to defeat him, and they became known as the National Level Hunters. Kamish's appearance is one of the many monsters that will soon invade the world. The monarchs anticipated the ruler's plan to create a world of strong hunters who could protect it from their armies, so their response was to release their armies early to prevent any opposition that could stand against them. However, Ashbourne's power is so great that he can't actually spawn into the world. Both the monarchs and the rulers need a human vessel that can contain their power. But the problem remains that even the strongest hunters cannot contain their power. Ashbourne needed a vessel that could contain his power to its full extent and steal that vessel away from the original host. The architect is a mage who was serving the monarchs at the time. Since Ashbourne is having a lot of trouble finding a suitable host, the architect proposes to him the system. Ashbourne agrees, and so the system gamified everything for their ideal player. That player is Jin-woo. When Jin-woo reached level 100, the architect sent him an invite in order to revive the true Shadow Monarch, Ashbourne, and take over Jin-woo's body. However, the Shadow Monarch betrayed the architect, stripped him of his admin rights, and transferred his powers over to Jin-woo. With the architect out of the way, the Shadow Monarch's partial power is in Jin-woo's hands. This is unknown to the other monarchs because, at the time, they didn't know the existence of Jin-woo as the second incarnation of the Shadow Monarch. But Jin-woo has a clear picture of the visions he's been seeing for a couple of months, especially about the war between the rulers and the monarchs. During the monarchs' war arc, Jin-woo finally had a context of the real war, and Ashbourne gave him the choice to live in death's eternal embrace or come back to the world and save it against the remaining monarchs. And so, this is the story of the monarchs. If you missed our previous solo leveling video, check out our lore explanation about the rulers. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you're always updated with our latest uploads.